everyone, Trevor here. So to help bridge the gap between large videos, aka this monstrosity, I'll be doing these weekly discussion videos. Nothing too big, nothing too serious. You all deserve more than just waiting for me to finish a big project up. So that being said, let's talk about something amazing. Let's talk about Yu Yu Hakusho. Specifically, my history with the anime and how Yusuke Urameshi, to this day, is my favorite character. Now, truth be told, I don't want to talk about the entire series in a video style like this. If I'm ever going to talk about Yu Yu Hakusho in its entirety, then it deserves the Trevor Tiger Project treatment. It is one of, if not my favorite, shonen story ever told. Whatever another story lacks, this story picks up for it. It's iconic for a reason. Now, before we go on, I will be dropping spoilers all over the place. This video may be focusing on Yusuke and how I started out with this series, but that doesn't mean spoilers aren't going to happen. They just are. So if you don't want to be spoiled, go watch the show. It's all I can say. Go watch it. I love it. And I hope you enjoyed if you've never seen it before. But we're moving on in 3, 2, 1. Okay. So I can't believe that Yusuke fights Kylo Ren at the end, in the final episode. No, I'm just kidding. That was a terrible joke. Moving on. Okay, so what I want to do is take you back a decade or so to the days where Codename Kids Next Door was my favorite cartoon to watch, and when Yu Yu Hakusho was on Toonami. Now, I was introduced to anime through my older sister. She's not into the genre anymore, but she was responsible for getting me into things like Rurouni Kenshin, G Gundam, Dragon Ball, and of course, Yu Yu Hakusho. The first time I was shown this anime was when I walked into her room one fateful night. The lights were out, her blanket was over her face. I looked over at the TV and I saw the iconic moment of Toguro stabbing Kuwabara. That's right. My first introduction to this series was during one of its most tragic and yet best moments. Needless to say, that got my attention and fear. But then I saw him. Yusuke Urameshi. I could tell he was the good guy because it definitely wasn't the muscle-bound monster I just saw that murdered a teenager. But anyway, I remember seeing despair on Yusuke's face, and then he talked about emotions, regret, and anger. I was entranced at that point. Just to reiterate, I wasn't versed in the laws of anime that much. I had no idea at the time that you could have monologues during fights. I thought it was all pow, ka-chop, wa-bam! Oh, how naive I was. So after Yusuke builds up his silent rage, we then have the following scene.
Today you die, Toguro.
You go ahead and try.
That was a holy shit moment. Actually, I was a kid at the time, so I didn't know what shit was yet. So to respect the times, I'm just gonna call this a holy heck moment. So, with this single punch, Yusuke knocked down this monster and challenged him to make a move. I was speechless. Sure, a good emoji. Sure, a good majority, there we go, good majority of why I was speechless was because I had no idea what was happening and my sister's crying really distracted me. But the point stands that this moment is something that I will remember for the rest of my days. Now after that, I would see small clips of Yu Yu Hakusho from time to time. The most notable one was a full episode on a, what do I even call it, an anime sample disc that I got at FYE, I believe. Now I know this sounds crazy, but there was a time when stores sold DVDs that had multiple episodes of different anime on them. Hell, there was a time where Game Boy Advance cartridges had low-resolution episodes of shows like Sonic X. I know this because I had this and it's haunted my soul ever since. Now, I tried looking for that sample disc mentioned earlier, but I couldn't find it. I think I unfortunately lost it, and it's a shame, because on that disc was the episode in Dragon Ball GT where Goku turned Super Saiyan 4 and part 1 of Hiei vs. Bui from Yu Yu Hakusho. For how epic those two episodes were, it's no surprise that I went to that DVD a lot as a kid. That being said though, it wasn't until I was in my teenage years that I was able to finally watch the entire series in bulk, and that was it. That was when I fell in love with this show. The arcs were satisfying, the growth of the characters and their world were interesting, the villains were great, the main cast was great, the writing was great, Koenma was great. If a series is able to convince me that the Lord of the Afterlife is a fucking toddler with a pacifier that can transform into a standard looking anime character that still has the pacifier and can be taken seriously and has an actual reason that the pacifier is used, you know you're doing something right. Now, is this show a masterpiece in terms of deep storytelling? No, and that's alright. It's not supposed to be as fancy as Shakespeare or as deep and complex as Stanley Kubrick movies. What makes Yu Yu Hakusho work is its simplicity, the ability to take situations and cliches and make them as entertaining as possible because each character pours their heart and soul into them. It doesn't matter the scenario. In this show, it's great. The bond between teacher and student, one of the best just because of how they interact. The love story, never a detour or a drag, and it works because of how well the main relationship between Yusuke and Keiko is established. The obligatory tournament arc, one of, if not the best tournament arc in all of anime. Even people that have never watched Yu Yu Hakusho know about the tournament arc. And like I said before, this story can appeal to anyone because these characters are so simple, yet they have that layer of complexity behind them. You didn't need a book of philosophies to understand anyone. They all have that core trait with that extra touch of death. You see this kind of character a lot in other shonen main characters. For instance, My Hero Academia has Deku. His core trait, ambition. But Deku has that history, that drive behind him that turns the hero in training into a slightly complex character. He's not as complex as, let's say, Todoroki, but you get what I'm saying, right? Every arc Hero Academia releases, I can't speak today. Start over! Every arc My Hero Academia releases challenges a certain concept of heroes, and it's up to Deku to take on those challenges. He has to prove himself as the hero he's always dreamed of being. I could keep listing other examples, but this isn't about them. This is about Yusuke. And out of all the shonen MCs I've seen, it really sounds weird when I say that out loud, but out of all the shonen main characters that I've seen, Yusuke, I think, handles this trait the best. At his core, Yusuke is someone that doesn't want to be shackled to anything. He's a nice guy at heart, but he doesn't want to abide by the rules. All he wants is to be free, live his life however he wants, and enjoy a fight whenever he can. Part of what made me gravitate towards Yusuke so much was that unlike other shonen heroes, Yusuke doesn't have a real world-changing end goal. In the end, he wants to settle down with Keiko, fight demons, and just chill out. So, how did he reach that end? I feel like the only way to talk about that and Yusuke properly is to go over his history and how he grew into the character we all know and love. So, let's get started. At the age of 14, Yusuke was your stereotypical high school tough guy. Always got in trouble, didn't have a supported family, kept pissing off Christopher Sabat, Kuwabara, and he constantly lets down the one friend who gives him any slack, Keiko. But beneath all that toughness is a human heart. One day after school, Yusuke helps out a kid playing with his ball, and it's the first time where we realize, okay, so Yusuke's nice to kids. He's not a total douche. That realization would only grow on us more because the kid, like a stupid kid, ignores any logic and accidentally knocks his ball into the street and runs after it. Right before the kid gets murdered, though, by a speeding car, Yusuke jumps in front of the car and takes the hit. So in record time, the main character of the show has just died. Alright, that's it for the episode. Alright, see you next time. I'm sorry, I couldn't resist. So Yusuke turns into a spirit and is taken to Koenma, ruler of the afterlife, as mentioned earlier, second only to his father Kinyema. Koenma, like us, is shocked that this delinquent would sacrifice his life for the sake of someone else. So Koenma cuts a deal and says that if Yusuke can prove himself, he will get a second chance at life. So Yusuke does a few tasks here, gets necrophilia'd by Keiko there, it's cool stuff. We then see the first change of character from Yusuke. He's still going to be the smart-ass tough guy with quips, but he does show more appreciation for life now. That's what happens when you have to go through an anime version of It's a Wonderful Life. Actually, holy shit. Can we get an anime version of It's a Wonderful Life? I want to see George Bailey power up and destroy Mr. Potter in his true form. And what drugs am I taking here? Okay, I'm moving on. Now, this subtle character change in Yusuke happens throughout the rest of the story. That's one of this show's greatest strengths. It's not too common in anime for characters to show growth or change their attitudes at all. Take Luffy from One Piece. We've been stuck with him for decades now, but you can't tell me that he has shown emotional growth at all. He's been the same character all these years. In fact, almost every member of the Straw Hats is like that. Now that's not bad, but in comparison, there's a reason why people tend to go to characters that can change, that can grow, because when that happens, they get more invested in the cast. So Yusuke gets to live again, yay! But he's not off the hook yet. Koenma then does the most heinous thing you could ever do to a high school student: make him get a job. And not just any job. Oh no. His work now involves hunting demons and protecting humanity. Sounds simple enough, am I right? This is when Yusuke gets his infamous spirit gun. By pointing his finger, just by pointing, Yusuke can fire bullets, shotguns, and waves made out of spirit energy. It's so simple, yet the execution is creative and unique. Just like the story. Okay, I'll stop. Yusuke's character changes again when his first big assignment is to stop Hiei, Kurama, and Goki. It's through Kurama where Yusuke learns sympathy for demons, which would be vastly crucial near the end of the story, and it's through Hiei where Yusuke grows as a warrior. It's his first big challenge, and it's here where Yusuke proves that he has what it takes to fight demons. He's still a kid, but this is where he convinces all of us that he's right for the job. And then it's time for the Genkai arc. Like any shonen story, this is where Yusuke has to prove his warrior spirit again, but this time he gets a teacher out of it, Genkai. Now Genkai pretty much becomes Yusuke's mother figure. Even though he had an actual mother, she wasn't that good at parenting. At all. So Genkai fills that hole in his heart, but with her own spunk. She is relentless, constantly pushing Yusuke to the brink of death to make him stronger. And that's just step one of her training. It's thanks to Genkai that we see another change in Yusuke. Remember when I said that Yusuke doesn't like to be shackled to anything? That's still true, but like any kid, he doesn't know what to fight for or what to live for. He's always lived in the heat of the moment and never took the time to think about the future. It's only through Genkai does Yusuke finally set a goal for himself, a reason as to why he should fight. Of course, the answer was friendship and true love and blah 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 petit blah, but I hold no resentment towards this realization. Again, it's how Yusuke shows his growth, and it's shown in the next arc, The Four Saint Beasts. In this arc, the human world is threatened as a demon is controlling insects and is possessing everyone. Long story short, Yusuke teams up with Kuwabara, Hiei, and Kurama to save the world. Again, no big deal. Sounds simple enough, right? Yusuke meets the leader of the Saint Beasts, Suzaku, and it's here where we see Yusuke at death's door again. However, he's not quitting the fight just yet. This time, he's using his own life energy to fight back, putting his life on the line again. But unlike last time he did this for one random kid, now it's for the one person he actually loves. If you want a good comparison, this is Vegeta using his own life energy to blow up Majin Buu for the sake of his loved ones. Only difference here is that Yusuke's attack actually works. This fight right here is what I'm talking about. Growth as a character in terms of physical ability and state of being. But we're only at the tip of the iceberg, because now here comes Toguro in the Dark Tournament arc. Now when Yusuke meets Toguro, the former is severely out of this monster's league. So Toguro says, "Hey, Spirit Detective, guess what? There's this big tournament where demons fight each other to the death to see who's the strongest. I'm the champion right now, but you interest me. So here's the deal. You're going to enter the tournament, make it to the final round against me, and fight me to the death, giving me the best fight I could ask for. Chances are, you'll die. But if you refuse to join the tournament, I'll kill you anyway." So with that lovely ultimatum in mind, Yusuke decides to man up and finish up Genkai's training. He gets physically stronger again, but all that pales in comparison to what Toguro puts Yusuke through. Throughout the entire tournament arc, Toguro pushes Yusuke to his limits, all without directly fighting him, whether it's staring the detective down, or showing off his power, or letting the tournament committee constantly handicap Yusuke and his team. Toguro is raising this spiritual pig for slaughter, but refuses to touch him yet. It's all for the fight. Hell, the closest thing or damage he inflicted to Yusuke before their fight was when Toguro murdered Genkai and knocked Yusuke back when the latter was in a rage-induced state. So Yusuke lost the closest thing he had to a parent. Yay! But thanks to Koenma, he tells Yusuke to remember what Genkai taught him and to kick Togoro's ass. This finally leads to Yusuke versus Toguro. Full disclaimer, this is one of my favorite fights ever, so I'm going to be extremely biased here, if that wasn't evident already. Anyway, so Yusuke is trying his best, but Toguro is sensing that Yusuke is still holding back. It turns out he's still emotionally crippled by Genkai's death, and his fear of Toguro to draw out his potential. Genkai's spirit, though, returns to tell Toguro the secret of unlocking said potential, and it's to kill one of Yusuke's friends. Kuwabara is chosen, and we know how that ends. This was Yusuke's final turning point. He was forced into a fight he never wanted. He was forced into a situation where reality is ready to crush him. He has the power to succeed, but thanks to his childish emotions and attitude, his potential is bottled up inside, locked away, like a true teenager. Toguro just forced Yusuke to grow up in the worst circumstances. He forced him to awaken his potential, all for a selfish desire. So with Yusuke's emotional barrier shattered, all that power seeps out, and Yusuke takes Toguro out of the game. Now this sounds a lot like Cell making Gohan go Super Saiyan 2. That's because it is. There is a lot of Dragon Ball influence in Yu Yu Hakusho. Only difference here, though, is that Yusuke actually kept his title as main character. But to put it bluntly, both of these scenes are the highlights of their character. Forced into a situation where they have to kick the door to maturity down and face off against impossible odds with nothing but their body and will. It's satisfying as hell, it's awesome as hell, and it's fulfilling as hell. Seeing Yusuke, after 2 seasons, finally break down and showing what he can do, so good! Now before we go on to the next arc, I have to talk about Pooh. Good lord, that's going to backfire me, isn't it? So, since the start of this show, Yusuke had to defend this egg, which was a reflection of his inner self. Once it hatches, we would then see Pooh for the very first time. It's like if a deranged scientist fused Yusuke with a Furby. However, since Pooh is a reflection of Yusuke, it allows him to grow even more. Before the final match of the tournament, Genkai makes Yusuke absorb a concentrated amount of spirit energy. This test was designed to destroy Yusuke's body. If he can keep that energy inside him, he will grow stronger and surpass his previous limit. Simple as that. But this test just about kills Yusuke, until we see a scene where Pooh is getting water to keep Yusuke alive. But since the two share the same life force, he's barely able to move. This was the side of Yusuke we saw only a few times, but now Yusuke sees it firsthand. However, thanks to the cave being disturbed by Yusuke's thrashings, debris is going to fall and crush Pooh. In one last emotional effort, Yusuke pushes past his pain, fully absorbs the spirit energy, and saves Pooh. It's one of the best scenes in the entire show. It's a inner realization that Yusuke is ready for the next stage. It's just a shame that the next stage was just as, if not harder. Pooh would once again evolve when Yusuke reaches full maturity, but we're not there yet. Next arc. Now this arc was when things got deeper, complex. Things weren't black or white anymore. Instead, there's a lot of gray now in moralities and beliefs. So anyway, when Yusuke shows up in this arc, he retains the growth he had from the Dark Tournament. He still has the quips, he still has the attitude, but that's pushed to the sidelines a little bit. Now we have a Yusuke who's a lot more calm, who's more in control of his emotions, and more importantly, in control of his power. There's no more room to develop as a human anymore. The Dark Tournament took care of that. But that doesn't mean Yusuke is done, because he now has his greatest enemy to face off against. The main villain of the Chapter Black arc is Sensui, who was actually the spirit detective that preceded Yusuke. Now truth be told, I'm not going to talk about Sensui himself much. I'll give the bare bones description for him because Sensui alone deserves a discussion video. Maybe it can be the next topic, I don't know, but it'll definitely happen someday. So long story short, Sensui sided with the demons and wants them all to rampage on the human world. Sensui also kidnaps Kuwabara since he's the key to opening the portal to demon world and he wants to live there. Now Sensui doesn't have the same physical intimidation as Toguro. Instead, he has a mental and spiritual intimidation. Since Sensui was a former spirit detective, there's a lot of parallels to Yusuke. Both are extremely powerful, and both do not like to follow the rules. The problem though, is that Sensui was a prodigy since childhood, and has easily matured his strength more than Yusuke. So when these two clash, Yusuke's core being is challenged. Now Yusuke didn't interact with Sensui as much as Toguro, but Sensui does accomplish Yusuke's final growth as a human being. When Yusuke meets Sensui, he's out of his league again. Sensui has evolved past humans and demons and has reached a plane far above Yusuke. Yusuke knows he can't win, and to his knowledge, there's nothing he can do to beat Sensui. In one last move, Yusuke decides to sacrifice himself. He lets Sensui deal the finishing blow because if Yusuke dies, then Hiei, Kurama, and Kuwabara can unlock their potential through anger and put Sensui down. This is also one of the best scenes in the show, but anyway, so just when we think Yusuke is down for the count, elite guards that serve King Yema arrive. They claim that they're not here for Sensui, but instead for Yusuke. Why? Because Yusuke, it turns out, is a descendant of one of the strongest demons in existence. More on that later. The point is that Yusuke isn't in a position to fight back, so the guards think this is the perfect time to strike. But they're idiots because when you reveal a plot twist that regards the main character, you know that they're going to use that plot twist, right? So Yusuke is revived one last time, however his heart still isn't beaten. It turns out that by dying again, he's unlocked the demonic powers that have been dormant inside his bloodline. Not sure why they didn't activate the first time Yusuke died, but that's another time, another video. I'm probably missing something here. The point is that Yusuke with demon energy may be able to stand up to Sensui, but right before he leaves, the guards are like, "You're a demon! We can't trust you! Why should you help us?" To which Yusuke responds, "I don't care if I'm a demon. I'm just Yusuke Urameshi, spirit detective." It's not an exact quote, but that's the gist of it. All linking back to what I said, where the core personality of a character doesn't change, but still shows growth. Still showing the ability to develop as a relatable human being. As someone with more than a two-dimensional appearance. It doesn't matter what power-up he gets or what happens to him. Yusuke will always be Yusuke. He just gets better with age. So Yusuke goes to fight Sensui, but in the middle of their fight, turns out that demon ancestor is still alive and takes control of Yusuke. He makes short work of Sensui, but since Yusuke didn't get to fight, he's pissed off. This leads us to the final arc of Yu Yu Hakusho, the Three Kings arc. Truth be told, Yusuke doesn't change that much in this arc. At this point, it's tying up loose ends. And when I say tying up loose ends, he basically rewrites the power structure of the demon world. Nothing too exciting. If you thought that was rushed of me, you should see the anime. That season felt like it was on fast forward. I guess Yusuke's character arc concludes when he realizes that, okay, I'm human and I'm a demon. There's a human world, there's a demon world. I accept who I am, and we should all accept each other. There's probably a more eloquent way to put it, but that's the general gist of it. The final arc shows that Yusuke has accepted his duty, has accepted his life, and it's perfect that he accepts his life, because at this point, I believe he's 18 at this point, so perfect way to end it off. So after all of the adventures, Yusuke chooses Keiko over his career, linking all the way back to his goal, the reason as to why he should fight and live. The two share a kiss on the beach, and that's where Yusuke's story ends. At the end of the day, Yusuke was a rebel, but beneath it all was the heart of someone that just wanted a little bit of love and all the freedom in the world. Yusuke didn't need to be ruler of the world or the strongest guy in existence. He has everything he needs, a heart of gold with the power to literally point you in the right direction. Now, there's some things I still wanted to talk about. One bit was exclusive to the manga, but like I said before, I feel like it should be saved for another day. The point of this video was just to share or give a taste as to why I love Yusuke, why I love Yu Yu Hakusho. I don't know if I was able to make a good argument. This video could be described as just the ramblings of a nostalgic fan, but I truly think Yu Yu Hakusho will continue to stand the test of time. It's getting a 25th anniversary out of it, for God's sake. Anyway, that's this week's vlog or discussion entry or whatever you want to call it. I'm assuming that those of you that watched this all the way through have seen Yu Yu Hakusho. So that being said, who was your favorite character? Mine's obviously Yusuke, for God's sake. And if there are any topics you wanted me to discuss in future videos, let me know. I'd be happy to look into them. So with that being said, thank you all so much for watching. If anyone needs me, I will be reaching out to Justin Cook, the voice actor for Yusuke, so that I can have screams as powerful as him. See you next time, legends. Take care.